We're back out on the mall. We're moving to a new planet this week, so I want to tie that into our model solar system and give you some ideas for how you might incorporate some of these things into your solar system project that you're working on. So we're out here with our model sun, and we're going to be going quite a far ways away from this sun. So I've got some little signs set up to help prevent people from messing with our model as we're filming. You may want to use something like that in your project if you're alone doing it, or just a couple of you, just to keep people from messing with your equipment there. So just a little sign asking for some respect, for people who come along, so they don't start kicking your sun down the grassy mall. Okay, so we're going out to Jupiter, and I have it set up behind me. It's way out there. Right, so we're going to start by just quickly reviewing through the planets that we've already covered, so you get a sense of where they are. And I'm looking for you to be creative in how you demonstrate these distances, right? So initially we stopped at each planet, we talk a little bit about it, we show how far it is from the sun. What we're doing now, though, is sort of quickly going through those first 4 planets, moving out to the last one. And so there's different ways that we can do that kind of a demonstration. I've paced it out by walking. I've done a little time lapse of myself walking. Today, because we are going quite a bit further, we're going to do it on a tandem bike. So I've got my trusty assistant Eleanor here. She's going to be the driver of the bike in the front, the power and the steering, and I'll be sitting on the back talking to you a little bit as we go along. All right, so let's go ahead and get started then. We'll get on this bike and we'll do very quickly Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and we'll pause at Mars to give us a second to reorient ourselves for the long trip to Jupiter. All right, so here we go. All right, Ellie, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so you go ahead and get on the front there. Get my pedals set. You got your pedals set?
Yeah.
Look over your shoulder. Any cars coming?
No.
Okay, here we go. We'll stop at Jupiter, so just stay on the left. Sorry, we'll stop at Mercury. So if you're looking at the time of this video, you'll get a sense for the distances here. Okay, so here's Mercury. We didn't stop. For some reason, we didn't stop.
Oh,
There's Mercury.
Stop.
Keep going. We'll stop at Venus. Just put your foot on the grassy curb there when you stop, okay? If you can. Keep going a little further. Let's see. All right. So I got the stick with Venus just over my shoulder there. We're pretty much straight across from the Eller Dance Theater there. That's our distance for Venus. All right, let's continue on a little further for Earth. I can give you a little bit of power back here. Okay. Just pull up alongside Earth. Nothing too soon. Okay, here we go. That's good, that's good, that's good. Okay, so here's Earth. The stick just over my shoulder there with Earth on it. We've made it 1 astronomical unit so far. We're about 100 meters away from that sun. And remember, here's in my models where I would test that pinky method, right? And I would show and verify that it's half a pinky wide from Earth's distance, just to connect our model with the real solar system. All right, let's continue to the red planet. These are all very short trips. Whoa, she's really, okay, we're gonna pause at Mars here. Pause at Mars, that's good. Okay, let me get off for a second. Okay, so we've already finished up Mars. Right there it is, and it's pretty tiny. The last of the terrestrial planets, rocky. Remember what it's made out of, rock and iron, with a little layer of atmosphere around it, and some ice and some liquid water underneath the surface that comes out once in a while. But now we're heading to the outer solar system, and we've got a long ways to go to get to Jupiter. All right, so here's where in your model solar system, as you're going through it, you might want to get a little bit more creative how you show this vast distance between the inner solar system and the outer solar system, right? Jupiter, 5 times farther away from the sun than Earth. So maybe it only took us about 30 seconds to get to Earth with this little tandem bike we got set up, but we're in for a long trip to get out to Jupiter, all right? And to help us get there, I've got a couple little things here. We're just gonna play a little music to relax. I got a drink to hydrate, you know, for the long haul to Jupiter, all right? So bear with me here while we get some of that stuff set up. Okay, here we go on our way to Jupiter. Right, we have arrived at Jupiter. That was a long haul, man. I'm still thirsty. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. All right, El, you can park that bike a little bit and let's go ahead and pause our music. So we're at the giant planet Jupiter and we're pretty far away from the sun. So here, 5 times further away than Earth is. And if you think a little bit about how light works, you know, light from the sun is fainter here, but how much fainter? It's not just 5 times fainter, because light is like gravity. It goes as the distance squared. So if we're 5 times farther away from the sun is 25 times fainter at Jupiter's distance than it is at Earth's distance. That's pretty faint. So think about that, not 25% fainter, 25 times, you know, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. That's, you know, you're going pretty faint. So sunlight here is very weak. It doesn't have the same kind of effects that it does at Earth's distance in terms of heating surfaces and driving atmospheric dynamics and things like that. Let's get a little sense of scale here too. So we've got our Jupiter, put our little Earth on top of it. There's our Earth model, right? Little one centimeter or so blue marble there representing Earth. We have a few other things we can show. The 4 moons of Jupiter. You're gonna have these in your model, right? I've got mine here so that I don't drop them on the grass. These are the little tiny, called the Galilean moons of Jupiter, named after Galileo. Right, so a little while later we'll show how these orbit around Jupiter. That's one of the things that you've been tinkering with your model, like a demonstration of how these moons orbit around the planet itself. Now what I also wanted to show is what the sun looks like from here. So I have to cross the do not walk on the grass sign for that, but there is a little strip for me to walk on out here. So I'm walking on a little concrete strip in the grass, and we're going to look back at the sun. There it is. Let me step up on got a little step up here. So now you may have to pause this video and zoom in on it there, but I'm looking with my finger. It's very hard to move your finger in a selfie video when you're looking at it, but you see the tiny little sun way in the background there. If you pause it and zoom in, you'll see that there. So from Jupiter's distance, the sun is, just to like the eye would not even represent a disk anymore. It would be 5 times smaller. So if you think about half your pinky, 5 times smaller than that, 1/10 of the diameter of your pinky. So it's really tiny. It's almost like a very bright star rather than seeing a disk of the sun itself. And when we get out to Saturn next week, it's even more so, 10 times farther away than the Earth. So Jupiter's pretty faint, and the sun is pretty faint from Jupiter. And in your model, demonstrating that distance, I think, is going to be something that you have to get a little creative with, because you can't really have a video that shows you walking that distance, right, unless you speed it up as a time lapse. So maybe on a skateboard or a scooter or a bicycle like this one, some way of helping to demonstrate this distance there. And then when you get to Saturn, it's even worse, right? So Jupiter is just the closest of the giant planets. All right, so I think we'll wrap it up there, and we'll go back into the classroom, finish up the little presentation here, and then next Monday we'll be back in the planetarium again. So I'll remind us all of that. So stay tuned for a few minutes while I change things around and get back inside. All right, bye-bye.